Hi, this is Ann Dunn. I am the founder of Cat Town in Oakland, California, and I'm really excited to be here to tell you about what we've learned to help hard-to-place cats in our community. I'm just going to start with a little history of Cat Town. I started Cat Town when I was a volunteer at our open admission shelter, and we started, there were a lot of volunteers that were part of Cat Town, and we started because we saw that there were a lot of cats that came into the shelter and were scared there, and so weren't going to get moved into adoption and also weren't getting helped by other rescue groups. So our mission is to save those cats. And the problem that we set out to solve in 2011 when we started operating, 42% of the cats were being killed at the shelter. And these were cats that people thought were unadoptable. They seemed like they're difficult, they seemed like they're aggressive, and it was true that we saw that there were not a lot of adopters that are willing to take a chance on stressed cats, and the transfer partners were not willing to either. So those are the cats that we set out to help. In the beginning, when we were really just getting started and we didn't have a history in rescue, and we're really just trying to figure out how could we have an impact. And so what we started with is, what does the shelter do well? What do other transfer partners do well? And let us do what's not getting done. So we, in the beginning, would only pull cats that were at risk of being euthanized. And we chose those cats in close relationship to our shelter. So we have a great working relationship with the shelter and consider that to be integral to what we're doing. And a part of our mission is supporting that shelter and helping them do what they don't have the resources themselves to do. So our core population, and this is really for our community what we saw, the cats that weren't being helped. So starting with the kittens, in our community there are a lot of great rescue groups that help the young kittens, the ones that are healthy, that are well socialized or easy to socialize. So we don't focus on those kittens. We focus on kittens that come into the shelter that are 4 months and older, who've never been handled, who are very fearful, kittens that we're often as afraid of them as they are of us. And we call this our Forgotten Kitten Project. And the name came from the fact that a lot of people don't realize that this is a problem. I mean, people in rescue do, but outside in our community, when we talk about the need for kitten fosters, most people didn't have any idea that this was an issue. So one of the really exciting things with our Forgotten Kitten Project is what we have found is we bring these kittens to our cat cafe, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. We bring them to the cat cafe, we give them access to confident cats, we put them in an environment where it's very stimulating, and what we're finding is these kittens grow and change in the most amazing ways. And so where a lot of people think that once a kitten gets to be 4 months old, if they haven't been socialized, it's too late, we're finding that these kittens can be socialized. It takes longer, but it's really in giving them access to confident cats that it's the game changer. The other group we help are the under-socialized cats. And so these are cats that aren't feral, but maybe they don't have a lot of confidence. They're the cats that tend to really just shut down in the shelter. They may be cats that came from a hoarding situation and, maybe they're used to being fed by people, but they've never really been the center of anybody's universe. And so in helping these cats, we're really what we're trying to do is inspire people to want to be the one to earn their trust. And, knowing for a cat once they get to being an adult that if they're really fearful, it could take months and years for them to grow and change. But we've been really successful in finding great adopters for these cats as well. And then the cats that are stressed, and the stress could be they're completely shut down and you have no idea who they are. They're cats that are lunging at the front of the cage. We take all the cats that bite and go into bite quarantine. And we take the seniors, including doing hospice, and then we take cats that have medical issues that the shelter can't help, including FELV and FIV. So our overarching model is safety first, and by that we mean until a cat is in an environment where they feel safe, you really can't know who they are. So our first goal is get cats out of a stressful environment, put them into a safe environment, and then let potential adopters meet them there. And a big piece of that is, being in a shelter environment, asking people to take a chance on a cat who's really stressed, and most people aren't willing to do that. And so we realized that the biggest piece of helping these cats is they have to be able to show their best selves. And so getting them either into a foster home or into, we'll talk about our adoption center, is really the key to getting them adopted. So we started with our foster program, and in doing that, I think one of the most amazing things that we've seen is we have a whole community of people that want to help. And they may not feel comfortable going to the shelter to do it, but once we were able to get cats out of the shelter, we've really been inundated with people who want to be a part of this. So what we are doing with our foster program is we're getting cats out of the shelter, largely cats that we don't know who they are because they are so shut down there. And asking our fosters to take a chance on these cats. And often what we're saying to people is, we really have no idea who the cat is. All we can tell you is the cat's really stressed. We believe if we get the cat out of the shelter that we're going to see somebody that is adoptable. And would you be willing to take a chance on this cat to help us do that? And so many people will say yes. So our model is to make it easy to help. So that means for us that we will deliver cats from the shelter, we provide all the necessary supplies, we provide all kinds of support. And then a real key to the foster program is, think about these are cats that didn't do well in the shelter. So in the shelter environment, they seem like they're not adoptable. So that means these are cats that if we took them to a mobile adoption event, they're probably not going to show well there either. So a really big piece of what we do is we allow potential adopters to meet their cats in the foster home. And so that does two things. One, the cat's going to show the best because the cat's in an environment where they feel safe. And then the real key is the potential adopter gets to talk to the foster. And so the foster knows the cat far better than we do and can give a really realistic idea of who the cat is. A lot of our cats, when a potential adopter comes over, the cat's going to go right under the couch or go into the closet. So it's not at all unusual for a cat to get adopted who's in hiding, but because the foster is there and can show videos or can talk about what the cat's like in a normal, during normal situations, and so inspiring people to give them a chance. So the real strengths of the foster program, it's great for the cat. The cat, so a cat who is, doesn't do well in a chaotic environment, to get them in a nice, calm environment with somebody who's dedicated to helping them feel comfortable. It's just the very best thing that we can do for the cats. It's great for potential adopters to get really realistic information about what it's like to live with a cat. And then the challenge is that there's a lot of matchmaking involved. And so we get lots and lots of people who want to help. And so we want to really make sure that we're getting cats into foster homes where the volunteer is going to have a great experience and it's an appropriate situation for the cat. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. And then the biggest challenge really is that it's a lot to ask somebody to get in their car and drive across town to just meet one cat. And people are willing to do it, but it just means that those cats are going to have the longest length of stay compared to cats in our other programs. The Cat Town Cafe, so we opened the first cat cafe in the United States at the end of 2014. And this has been a game changer for us, and part of it is it's just a really great environment for people to come visit. And so we have lots of people who are coming to adopt, and we have lots more people who are coming just because they want to have the experience of visiting a cat cafe. And in some cases, those people realize once they get there that they've fallen in love and they want to take somebody home. So that's really the goal of this, is just to create a low stress environment for people and cats, and just to get people to want to come. So not raising the bar so high, which is come just because you want to adopt, but instead it's come just to see the cats and help them get through their day. So it's been really great. And then, as I had mentioned previously, really the most exciting thing that we're doing with the cafe is we're using it as an environment to socialize the forgotten kittens. So the photo that you see, the 3 kittens that are in the foreground are all forgotten kittens. And you're seeing them after they've been there for a while, and so they're now really confident cats. They're in the middle of the room, and they've all since been adopted. But that's one of the things that we see with the forgotten kittens, is the kittens that come in initially as the fearful ones, as they grow and change, they become the confident ones, and they become the role models and help the other kittens that come in behind them. So this has been just amazing for us. So the strengths of the Cat Cafe, really the biggest is the draw. That, I think about days when I was at the shelter in the adoption wards and not a single person came to visit. Where at the cafe we have, on an average day, we have probably 75 people coming through, including weekdays. I mean, it's just, we're right in the middle of the city, and so it's just been this really incredible experience of really being embraced by our community, because people are seeing the cats. I mean, the cats are now so visible, and we have all kinds of people following us on social media, and really, the play-by-play of the cats arriving and starting to do well and then getting adopted. So there's like such a greater level investment in our community in terms of what's happening with these cats. The challenge for the Cat Cafe is that it's not an ideal environment for every cat. So it's a great environment for the younger cats. It's an incredible environment for the forgotten kittens. But it's not a situation for an older cat or a cat with medical issues or a cat who doesn't like other cats. And so it works well for some cats, but not for everybody. And then the other piece is that there's a lot of support that goes into having the Cat Cafe open. And so we have, for every hour that we're open, we'll have at least 2 volunteers that are in the space that are keeping an eye on the cats and helping with adoption counseling. And so there's a lot of support that's necessary. Thanks to Maddie's fund, we just are in the process of opening a new adoption center, which is specifically for hard-to-place cats. So this is a space that's right next to the Cat Cafe, and it's 13 smaller rooms that are differently sized for different types of cats. And so these are cats that would otherwise go to our foster program. The picture that you see is of 3 of our forgotten kittens that came into the shelter. They were about 4 months old. They had scabies, and they weren't socialized, so they both needed to be treated and socialized. So we have a specially trained crew of volunteers that works with the under-socialized cats. And the thing that's super great about this is these are cats now of all different types that are in an environment where they feel safe, and because we have the Cat Cafe next door, we have tons of potential adopters coming through. So this is really a marriage of the foster program and the Cat Cafe. So like the foster program, there's spaces that are nice and quiet where cats that are really fearful feel safer. And like the Cat Cafe, there's just tons of people coming through. So we have greater access to potential adopters, but it also is a way to showcase our mission. I mean, one of the things that we realize in talking to people in our community is most people care what's happening at the shelter. They don't want animals to be killed there. They don't necessarily understand how things are working. They don't understand what the issues are. And they don't understand, especially when it comes to cats, just the broad spectrum of cats. I mean, there's no one-size-fits-all for cats. There's a lot of different things going on depending on whether the cats are socialized, what their age is, what their medical condition is. So it's a complicated situation, and having the Hard to Place Adoption Center helps us talk about what that is and what is the problem that we're trying to solve, and gets people more engaged in helping us be a part of that solution. So one of the challenges that we find with broadening the accessibility of the cats, the harder to place cats, and I'm thinking mainly when we're talking about cats that are under-socialized, there's a lot of people who are really excited to help don't necessarily have the experience in working with those cats. So we put a lot of energy into adoption counseling and trying to help people understand what these cats need, trying to set them up for success. And part of that is having really involved adoption support. So once cats go home, we have a really great program for people where we give them really a lot of hands-on support and are very proactive in helping people help the cats get acclimated. But part of it also is giving people permission to return the cat if it isn't going well. So in the 6.5 years we've been operating, we've helped over 1,700 cats. We've helped reduce the euthanasia rate by 70% at our municipal shelter, and that's as of 2016, and expect that number to be even better in 2017. A couple just really quick before and after. So King, who was a surrender, you couldn't even touch him. He was just lunging in his cage and growling. This is him in his foster home where he was quickly adopted. Bud, who also was a growler and really, really scared, in his foster home. And Janny, who was one of our forgotten kittens, she came into the shelter. She was 7 months old, couldn't get anywhere near her. And after being at the Cat Cafe for a couple months, she just turned into her sweetheart and was adopted. So again, starting in 2011, and now here we are in 2017, having learned a lot. And I think if anything, what we've learned is this is possible. So our hope is that we can really inspire other people to take a chance on these cats and to give them the great homes that they deserve. So thank you so much for being a part of this.